Well, it's that time, gentlemen. You are about to invest your hard-earned dollars into a new suit. The perfect suit? My God, is there anything better? I don't think so. But before you just lay down your hard-earned cash on a new suit, you start doing a little bit of research. You start poking around online, going into some style forums, and you see 3 specific terms tossed out all the time. They are off the rack, made to measure, and bespoke. And so today I thought we'd go over the 3 different options, the pros and cons to each of them, so you know what you're doing next time you go shopping for that beautiful, perfect suit. Alright, so first up is off the rack, and this is going to be the most common. So when you go into a store that sells suits, you're going to see a bunch of racks, right? On the racks, they have various sizes of suits. You are going to get measured, you are going to find a suit that is relatively close to your size, you're going to grab it, you're going to buy it off of the rack, thus the name. So what's happening here is that manufacturers are basically making a ton of suits based off size templates, alright? So a 42 regular, it has a template. Bang, they're cutting, they're sewing, okay, they're making a ton of them. Now, here's where it gets a little bit more complicated. Each of the different manufacturers may have different fits of suits, alright? So they might have a regular fit, they might have a slim fit, they might have a modern fit, but all of the sizes within that fit category are going to be cut exactly the same. You understand? One of the benefits to buying off the rack is that the price is going to be less expensive than the other 2 options that we're going to talk about in a second. Reason being is that they're able to make them through templates, alright? All the expense starts when you start customizing things and you've got to alter different areas, alright? So one of the benefits to off the rack is that it's going to save you some dough. The downside to buying off the rack is that we all have unique body shapes and they aren't cookie cutter like the suits are actually made. So this means that when we find a suit jacket that fits us well, most of the time it's going to require some degree of tailoring or altering to get it to fit better. One of the biggest mistakes that I see men making is going into a store, buying an off-the-rack suit, putting it on, getting fitted, be like, yo, I'm good. And really, with $20 worth of tailoring, this suit could fit them a whole lot better. But instead, they just wear it off the rack. And so it's going to be bigger in areas, maybe a little bit tighter in areas, and it's just not giving you the illusion and the silhouette that you're actually looking for. Here's an example. Alright, so here's a suit that I recently purchased off the rack from a store called Suit Supply. Alright, the fit is a Washington fit. It's a slimmer fit. Alright, it's a 2.5 button, but here's the deal. It is a little bit larger than I would like. Alright, so I'm going to actually take it and have the jacket tailored to give it a little bit more of a cinch at the waist. And as you can see, the pants also need to be hemmed, and I'm going to have the leg tapered. So once I spend, say, $50 on alterations, then the suit's going to fit me a lot better. But I could avoid some of this issue with the whole having to get it altered if I went for another option, made to measure. Alright, made to measure. Companies like Modern Tailor, you guys have heard me talk about them for years, and they are making made to measure suits. What happens, you go in and you take specific body measurements. So the suit partially is designed and measured specifically for you. So once you plug in your measurements, they then get a pattern that most closely represents your characteristics in your body, and then they make modifications based on that. So it's sort of like a cross between totally custom, which we'll talk about in a second, and off the rack. Certain aspects are kind of off the rack, but certain aspects are incredibly custom. The upside to made to measure clothing is that it is going to be less expensive than custom, a little bit more than off the rack, but you have a lot of flexibility in terms of style, color, as far as the fabric, buttons. You pretty much have a ton of various options in order to customize that suit for you. The downside is that sometimes you get it and the measurements were a little bit off, or it's just not exactly like you would like it, and so you still may have to get a few tweaks or modifications made to the made to measure suit. And last, but certainly not least in terms of perfect fit and options, is a bespoke suit. Bespoke is a fancy word for saying custom. And with a custom suit, you're going in and having a tailor take all of your measurements. Alright, you're going to stand there and they're just going to be measuring all over the place, like 30 different measurements. Alright, the result is that this suit is going to be one of a kind. There aren't 20,000 others that other friends of yours are going to have. It's you. It's going to fit you, and it's specific to your desires and your taste. So if you want like 5 vents in the back, like fringe, like a gladiator, you can do it. Funky and weird, but possible. The upside is that you're not going to need any modifications when you actually get this suit. It's going to be perfect. All right. The other upside is that nobody else is going to have one. It's going to be custom specifically for you. The downside is going to be the price. This is going to be your most expensive option. It is not uncommon for tailored or custom suits to run you into the thousands of dollars. Bespoke is like super high end, right? This is like the creme de la creme of luxury, right? Yeah, well, it's not for me. No way. I don't wear suits enough that I can justify spending. I don't have the money to spend thousands of dollars on suits. Are you kidding me? But I understand that there is a huge market for this, and a lot of guys love it and will only wear bespoke or custom suits. You know, if you've got the money, you've got the resources, and you wear suits often, this is something to look into. It's an experience, and there's nothing like it. Now, below this video, in the description, there is an infographic that I borrowed that is a great representation and illustrates the difference between bespoke and made to measure in more detail than I went over in this video. But hopefully this video gave you enough ammunition and information that you can now go out and make an educated decision. Remember, if I have said it once, I have said it 10,000 times. It is all about the fit. Find a tailor, all right, and use him. A tailor is going to be your best friend, and he's going to be able to make a cheap suit, or I should say an inexpensive suit, look a little bit more high-end, a little bit more tailored. But it can only happen if you go and have it modified and altered. Guys, suits, they're great. Having one that fits is even better.